everyone, so I have another celebrity inspired makeup tutorial for you. I've been getting way more requests for them, I think, since I've started doing the odd one, but this is inspired by Cheryl Cole, who is now going by her new married name of Cheryl Fernandez Versini, I think. But I think most people will still know who she is by saying Cheryl Cole. And she has her signature smoky eye, which she generally kind of always sticks to. She might change the colour a little bit, and you know, or cheek colour and lip colour, but the shape is usually the same. Now this will look a little bit different on my own eye shape because my eyes are a lot bigger than hers, but it's just to give you a general idea. And it's a really achievable smoky eye. It's not actually a difficult one at all. There's like literally 2 colours on the eyes, so hopefully it'll be an easy one to follow. So keep watching for the tutorial, guys. So the kind of skin we're going for today is like luminous and radiant, but still quite perfected. I don't want to overdo it. My own skin is kind of crap at the moment, so I do need to use a slightly heavier coverage foundation than usual. But to start off, what I'm going to use is my Prep and Prime Radiance, Natural Radiance Primer by MAC. This is the pink one. The pink one is kind of designed after the fact for light to medium skin, and then the yellow one was the first one to come along, which was for darker skin. But to be honest, you don't really see a huge amount of difference regardless of which one you use. They both kind of give a lovely luminosity to the face, but I don't notice any difference in colour, to be honest. So I'd say you can use either. It's a great wee primer. It inhibits oil production without like mattifying the face, so you still get that lovely radiance. And it does contain hydration. It has glycerin in it as one of the top ingredients, so I really like it for combination skin particularly. Then for my foundation, I'm going to go with the Revlon ColorStay for normal to dry skin. This is a lovely foundation. It's one of my favourite like medium to full coverage drugstore foundations. And I'm just going to use this 132 brush by MAC, which is like a smaller version of the 13959, and apply that to the face. I really love this size brush because it's quite multifunctional. You can use it for applying your foundation as well as your concealer, and also to contour, because it has that lovely like fine tip. You can be quite precise. And then to kind of buff in the foundation, you can go over with the tip and very, very lightly run that back and forth. So it's only the very, very tip, the white parts, that is doing the buffing, while I was using the entire side really to kind of get the foundation in place. So I've been really busy with like loads of early mornings lately, which doesn't do much to help my under eye circles. So what I'm going to do to help hide the purple showing through on the under eye circles is use this Max Factor CC Colour Corrector for the under eye. And this is like a yellowy cream colour. It looks extremely ridiculous when you first put it on like this, but once you blend it in and put your own concealer over it, it really does help brighten up the entire area. Apply that roughly like that. Of course, I'm leaving it where it is darker on the inner corner, and then I'm just going to use my fingers to pat that in and hopefully help it disappear a little bit. But like I said, I will be going over it with a proper concealer. And one thing I do notice about this is if you're dry at all, it will kind of show up dryness. And I do get very dry under my under eye area, particularly if I'm a little bit tired or, you know, worn out. So that's one thing to note about these. And as usual, I'll just finish off the skin after the eyes, but what I'm going to do next is apply some under eye concealer. So I think I'll go for my Wake Me Up in Ivory. This is by Rimmel. It's a lovely, again, radiant kind of concealer. And this has slightly more of a yellow base rather than a pink base, which is good for purple discoloration under the eyes. So that's also helped to take care of the dryness, because it is quite a hydrating concealer as well, which is good. And I'm going to use my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion in Eden for a change, because I just never think to use it. I'm just going to apply that just using my finger, and I put out way too much, by the way, way too much. So you do have to be careful not to put on a huge amount of this, because if you put on too much, it'll actually make creasing worse. So for the first eye colour, what I'm going to do is go into this Catrice eyeshadow. It's one of their mono eyeshadows in number 660 Ice White Open. And it's just a very, it's a near white, but it's actually slightly cream. And use that as my highlight, because her highlight is quite matte looking, but it's quite light as well. It's paler than the rest of her face. and her eyeshadow goes up quite far. I'm not sure if I'll put it up quite that far in my own eye because I have a lot more space than she does and it just might take over a little bit too much. But we'll see. But either way, I'm going to bring the white down a little bit, or you know, the highlight down a little bit, so it'll give the eyeshadow something to blend over nice and smoothly. Then for the eyeshadow, and this is pretty much the closest one I could see that I had to hers, and it's from the new Moody Bloom collection by MAC. It's called Deep Fixation and it's a Velux Pearl. So I am going to pick that up and press it onto the main lid. And then I'll use a blending brush to blend it out and soften it in a minute. And then I'm going to use the same brush, but the very tip. And then the side that had the colour on it that I used to apply to the lid, I'm going to have that facing up so it doesn't bring it down too far underneath my lid. I'm going to run that same colour right there underneath the lower lashes. Then I'm going to pop into an eyeshadow blending brush. This is by number 7. Pick some up on the tip of that. Cheryl nearly always does a very, like a slightly winged out shape with her eyeshadow. But it's not very graphic or anything like that. So I'll just start by softening that brown or the kind of copper colour above the crease first. She pretty much goes like all the way up to the brow, particularly on the inner corner. And then there's like a little sliver of highlight left, but I mightn't go up quite that far, like I said. So I'm just using my windshield wiper motions back and forth first, and then just do little circular motions to help buff it out. Then without putting too much product on the brush, I'm going to slightly wing out that edge of the eyeshadow. And the wing is just continuing up from my waterline, so pretend that there's an imaginary line like going up from your waterline, and that's what you want to follow. So just very lightly use the tip of your brush. Don't use a brush that's too fat, like the MAC 224 I think is too splayed. It's a bit too, it's not tapered enough. Well, the new ones aren't anyhow, so go for something that has a bit more of a tip like this guy. And then again, without too much on the tip of the brush, I'm just going to use that to lightly buff out the lower lash line. So from what I can tell, it's only the one colour she has on the picture that I'm working from, so I'm just going to apply some black eyeliner into my waterline now. I'm just going to use my Bourjois double-ended kohl pencil at the back end. And I'm just applying that into the waterline, right into the inner corner here. If you have very watery eyes, I'd maybe avoid going right in there with a kohl pencil, and you could maybe try using a gel eyeliner or something, because that'll just smudge. Even in the photo I'm working from, hers is ever so slightly smudged. But I'm also going to tight line. Then with her eyeliner, her flick actually seems to come up from the lower lash line, but she does have a very thin line on top, over the top lash line. So I'm going to use my Super Liner Perfect Slim L'Oreal eyeliner. It's like a marker style eyeliner. And apply a very thin line. It's a little bit thicker on the outer corner. And then just make sure that it's really thin. I'm just going to use a small mirror for this. Really thin on the inner corner. And then make sure you swoop the edge down because it's going to be meeting that lower liner. And then for the line coming up from the lower liner, it looks like it's literally just extending up from the lash line, the waterline rather. So what I'm going to do is do exactly that. Draw it as if it's coming up from the waterline. Her eyes, how would I put it? Like, I have more of an angle to my waterline, so mine will probably go up a little bit further. It's up to yourselves how you want to draw it in. Hers is straighter out because her lower waterline, the angle of it, is straighter out. So I might just like go a little bit further out than my own angle is, if you know what I mean. That's about long enough. That's the template in, and what I'm just going to do now is neaten that up a little bit just to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then using a small angled brush, this is from the Coastal Scents 22 piece brush set, and that black kohl pencil again, I'm just going to smudge a little bit of black pencil in at the bottom of the wing because it looks to be a little bit diffused in the picture. And then kind of bring it down onto the lower lid a little bit, but it doesn't go in very far, only about 1/3 of the way. And of course Cheryl is known for her like big lashes. She always wears false lashes, but I'm just going to go with a mascara, and I'm going to use quite a volumizing mascara. This is the In Extreme Dimension Lash Mascara, I think it's called, by MAC. And I'm just going to pop plenty of that onto the top lashes, and I'll also be popping some onto the lower lashes as well. And rather than like pull the bottom lashes out to the side, or even the top lashes like I usually do, her lashes are actually quite fanned. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've the lashes finished, and I reapplied some under eye concealer, but I definitely need to conceal some of my blemishes. So I'm going to use my Vichy DermaBlend. I think this one has been discontinued. They have a newer, smaller stick though. And I'm going to apply this onto anywhere where I need it. And then just work that around the face over any redness or any blemishes until, you know, it's relatively perfect. Then to set everything in place, I'm going to use my Studio Care Blend Pressed Powder by MAC. This is in the light colour. And lightly bounce that over everything I've just concealed and my foundation. Then for eyebrows, I'm going to use my Catrice Eyebrow Stylist in Brown Eyed Peas, which is the darker colour. I'm just going to use that to slightly lessen my arch. Because Cheryl's own brows are quite, they're quite straight across, they're not very angular. And then just very lightly run the tip of the pencil through the rest of the brows, but without like making it too dense. You just want to fill it in a little bit. And then I'm just going to set that in place using my Brow Drama Sculpting Brow Mascara by Maybelline in the dark brown colour. Just lightly use that to set the hairs. Now Cheryl's own face is very defined naturally. She actually isn't particularly sculpted, but I'm just going to do my usual nose contour just because her own nose is much smaller than mine, and you know, I prefer to add a little bit of shadow there. And just to kind of mimic Cheryl's own extremely like naturally defined cheekbones, I'm going to use my Taupe Blush by NYX and just use that lightly there under the cheekbones. Not very, very strong or anything, just to give a hint of having slightly more defined cheekbones and a slimmer face. Then for the cheek colour, I'm going to use this beautiful Zoeva blush. It's one of their Luxe colour blushes in the colour Gentle Touch. It's a lovely light cool pink, and it's applied quite high onto her cheekbones, so you don't bring it down onto the cheek, like to the apple of the cheek. And then just sweep it up towards the temple. And then just to add a tiny bit more radiance over that, I'm going to apply some of this Global Glow Mineralize SkinFinish by MAC. Picks them up and lightly just put it over the top. I'm going to go over all that then with my face powder brush. Then her lips are really pretty cool toned frosty pink, so I'm going to start off with this NYX lip pencil in Rose and just generally get the shape kind of stamped on and in order. And then I'm going to use this Max Factor Flip Stick, which is a double-ended lipstick. Now her lips are frosty. I don't want to go in straight away with the entire frosty shade because I'm frightened it'll just make it a bit too light and frosty. So I'm going to go in with the slightly more pink shade first, and this is actually called Boreal Mauve number 15. And I'm just going to soften that in with a lip brush. It's a little bit pinker than I thought, but it'll do fine. And what I'm just going to do is blot that in place. And then flipping over to the more frosty side, I'm going to apply that in the centre. And that is a little bit closer to what she had on. And again, just use my brush to get it in place. Now, and that's the finished look. It feels so weird wearing such pink lips because it's like a colour I rarely wear, but it's actually really, really pretty. But yeah, I'll just zoom out a wee bit and show you the finished look from slightly further away. aspect. So that's my finished Cheryl Cole inspired look. I was kind of working off one picture in general, but she kind of does the same look over and over again and just changes up the colours a little bit, but it's nearly always the same kind of shape and the same application. This of course looks quite different on my own eyes because my eye shape is so different, but it just gives you a general idea anyhow, and that's it. So of course go to the blog as usual for the full product list and for more pictures on that, and I will list the products below as well. So thanks so much for watching guys, and I'll chat to you all really soon. Slán!